Hello everyone, Mason here. How are you doing? You know, when people hear that I'm blind, they quite often tell me that they can't imagine what I've been through. They say that they think I'm brave, that they wouldn't know how to cope if they were in my shoes. They think of blindness as this sad and scary thing, and I understand why, because once upon a time, I did too. But today, I wanted to flip the script, so I'm bringing to you the best things about being blind, aka the things I don't miss about being able to see. Amongst a few other things, I was born with aniridia, which means that I have no iris. This left me exposed to the full force of any nearby light source, or not so nearby if we count the largest and most painful light source, the sun. As a reference, the odds of being born with aniridia are 1 in 50,000. Now if you live 80 years, the chances of being struck by lightning are 1 in 15,300. The odds of knowing someone that's been struck by lightning are 1 in 1,530. The odds of finding a 4-leaf clover are 1 in 10,000. Which means, if I've understood this correctly, I could be struck by lightning twice, join a support group with 6 other people that have been struck by lightning, and we could go on a day trip and find a 4-leaf clover, and it still wouldn't be quite as likely as being born with aniridia. I know that's probably not how odds work, but frankly, I don't care. I find it funny, and I'm not going to pretend to understand how maths work, because I don't. I'm a man of words, not numbers. Jokes aside, without an iris to close them, my pupils were constantly dilated. So many budding stand-up comedians made jokes about how it looked like I'd dropped a metric ton of acid. Somehow, none of them made it big, and I'm not sure why. It really was a problem though. Sometimes the transition from the dim lighting inside to the blisteringly bright outdoors would stop me in my tracks. I'd walk through the door and it'd feel like someone had thrown a handful of salt in my eyes. Try explaining to someone that you're not crying when your eyes are streaming. What's wrong with you? What are you crying for? I've got photophobia. What, are you afraid of photos? No, my eyes, they're sensitive to light. When I was in 6th form, I had English language classes on the top floor of my building. The ceiling was made of glass, so I'd walk out of the classroom into the hallway and my vision would be whitewashed. I wouldn't be able to see anything. I probably should have worn sunglasses more often, but my desperation to not stand out and not be seen as the blind guy was stronger than my desire for my eyes to not be burnt out by the UV rays. It's stupid looking back, because while I was in 6th form, I had a guide dog, so everyone knew I was the blind guy anyway. It's probably not a surprising thing to say, considering that I've ended up as a guy that uploads his thoughts to YouTube, but I was a child of the internet. I loved it. My friends didn't live in my local area, so long hours spent on MSN were how I kept in touch with them outside of school hours. This brings me to my next point, screens, and how close I needed to get to them. Try to imagine for a second how close I needed to sit by a screen in order to see it. The answer is on top of it. I couldn't just sit on the sofa and watch TV with my family. No, I needed a chair placed right in front of it, which would inevitably lead to me blocking off the rest of the family's view. You know that thing I said about not wanting to stand out, not wanting to be seen as the blind guy? Yeah, that's not possible when you're in high school and the teacher wants to show the class a video and you have to be moved to the front of the class to sit in front of a TV that's been wheeled into the room purposely for you, while everyone else sits in their inconspicuous seats and watches the video playing on the interactive whiteboard. I was faced with a problem that I couldn't really solve. It was a lose-lose situation. The smaller the screen, the smaller the writing, the harder it was to see things. But I had a severely limited field of view, especially after I lost the sight in my left eye. So the larger the screen, the more difficult things were to see because they were more spread out. For me, browsing the internet was not a simple matter of sitting comfortably in my chair reading the screen. It was an active task. I had to move around, especially if I was using a bigger screen like I would at home, where I used an HDMI to hook my computer up to the TV. I'd have to crane my neck to get as close as possible to try and see what was in the corners, move my entire head from left to right to read a sentence. To an uneducated viewer, it would have looked like I was trying to find my way inside the TV. In school, I was provided with a laptop. Now I had to lean over the damn thing in order to see the screen. But leaning over would mean that my body would come into contact with the tracking pad and move the mouse, so I'd lose my place and have to search for it. But finding a white arrow on a white Word document? Not easy, especially when you have to search inch by inch, and while you're searching, your body's moving the mouse around because you're in contact with the tracking pad, which was the problem in the first place. The amount of things that I accidentally clicked is unbelievable. At home, I tried to combat this issue by downloading custom arrows, which led to viruses. Viruses everywhere. The advancement of time and technology made this issue easier as I got older. When I was in 6th form, I was provided with an Asus transformer pad which allowed for the screen to be unclipped from the keyboard and used as a tablet. But even then, I had to hold it right in front of my face, literally at the end of my nose, as was the case with my mobile phone. I'm not sure why I said mobile phone. That makes me sound so old. Remember what I said about the light sensitivity? Yeah, being that close to screens was sometimes a pain in the arse. It made my eyes sore. So I had to turn the brightness right down. But when I was in school and 6th form, if the teachers needed to come and check my work, they had to turn the brightness back up so they could see it. And then I had to turn the brightness down again when they were done. And the next time they needed to check my work, they had to turn it back up and I had to turn it back down. It was like some sort of awful dance. You turn the brightness up, the brightness down, up, down, up, down. I'm getting fed up now. You know how in school, most of you got to read things out of textbooks. Nice, mostly neat textbooks, aside from the artistically graffitied plastered all over it, along with profound statements like "Loz or was here" and "Dave licks pubes." Yeah, well, I had to have everything photocopied and enlarged, which meant manoeuvring piles of A3 paper the size of Everest with text so large you could basically fit 10 words per page. Getting hold of large print was frankly a ball ache. Most of the time the teachers would forget, and I'd either have to put up with it or tell them, and the class would grind to a standstill as they disappeared to go and do the photocopying. I think this at least earned me a few brownie points with some of the less productive members of the class. I can't tell you how many times I went into a cafe or a restaurant and asked if they got a large print menu and was promptly told no, or had to wait 6 million years before being handed an adapted menu the size of a Brandon Sanderson novel, but mostly told no. Growing up with a visual impairment meant I was familiar with the medical world, shall we say. Along with aniridia, I also had glaucoma, which for a child is a 1 in 20,000 chance, by the way. To battle the unstable pressures in my eyes, I had to attend semi-regular doctor's appointments, which became more or less regular depending on how volatile those pressures were. I also got referred from my local hometown hospital to the eye specialists in Birmingham, which is about an hour's drive away. As an aside, I had to take days off school for those appointments, which wouldn't have mattered, but those absences actually got marked against me. Not once did I ever win a 100% attendance award. I don't think that's very fair. So anyway, on an undecidedly regular basis, my mum would drive us up to Birmingham and we'd sit in the waiting room for what felt like a millennia. Then I'd get called into the doctor's office where they'd inspect my eye, which included shining a bright light in them. Then I'd be told what state my eyes were in and what medication I needed to take. Eye drops. Endless eye drops. Take this one once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, on the hour, every hour. There was eye drops for this and eye drops for that. It felt like I was constantly putting them in, including at school during lessons. Again, the standing out thing. Then there was the surgeries. I had a lot of them. It felt like my eyes were always being tinkered with in one way or another. There were surgeries to remove scar tissue from other surgeries, drainage tubes implanted to lower the pressures, cataracts removed and artificial lenses inserted in their place. A few times I had an adverse reaction to the general anaesthetic and had semi-violent outbursts where I lashed out at the nurses, only to wake up in my ward later and not remember a single thing about it and had to listen to it recounted, feeling horrified. One time I was wheeled into the operating room still fully conscious because the surgeons were under the impression that the operation could be done under local anaesthetic, until I was like, no. Oh yeah, and then there was the time where my pressures were too low. I was given the option to undergo general anaesthetic, which I hated, so I said no, which meant staying conscious while a needle was injected directly into my eye. I can honestly say that not needing to attend those doctor's appointments anymore and not needing those medications is one of the best things about being completely blind. I haven't had a stranger touching my face and fiddling with my eyes in years, and honestly, I couldn't be happier about that. So what can you actually see? The sweet release of total blindness has ensured that I never have to answer this question again. Explaining what you can see to a fully sighted person is just impossible. It's not possible, and yet to my horror, I was repeatedly asked the question and hated it every time. Can you see that bird over there? What about that helicopter? Can you see that woman? What about that bloke pecking his nose? Can you see what that sign says? Can you see me now? What about now? What about now? How many fingers am I holding up? Do you know what colour my t-shirt is? Do you know what colour my eyes are? Do you know what colour my hair is? I genuinely didn't mind when I was asked by a friend, or even by someone you could tell was genuinely trying to understand. But sometimes, mere acquaintances that were borderline random strangers would grill me on it, and you could tell they were just treating me like a freak show. These days, if someone asked me, I could just say, nothing. I don't see anything at all. The truth is though, nobody does, because once you say that you are totally blind, everyone just assumes that all you can see is black. This isn't actually necessarily true. Plenty of blind people don't see black at all. Their field of view is completely blue, or completely white. For some, like me, it's a mixture. This is something that I want to explore more, but it's going to take a while, so it's something that I'll have to talk about in another video. I absolutely love not needing to worry about clothes. I, like so many other people, spent hours trying to find the right item of clothing, the perfect t-shirt, the one that looked the coolest. These days, I just wear what's comfortable. It's hard to change your mental image of something, so it doesn't even really matter what colour the t-shirts are that I buy, because once I get something in my head, that's how I'm going to picture it. I think I'm wearing a red t-shirt right now. Doesn't matter, in my head, my mental image of it is still blue. In fact, I have a variety of coloured t-shirts, but in my head, they're all blue. Doesn't matter which one it is, even if my partner tells me what colour it is, I'll still picture it as blue. We have these blankets we bought a few years ago, and according to my partner, they're like a burgundy colour. No, in my head, they're cream. Just cream, and I can't change that mental image, no matter how hard I try. Once I entered the world of total blindness, I couldn't help but think about the fact that I made so much effort for other people. Choosing t-shirts with designs that I hoped would make me look cool, that other people would like. But these days, I just don't care. Maybe it's just a symptom of growing up. Maybe if I could still see, I'd feel the same, but I doubt it. I feel like being blind has afforded me the opportunity to shake off the conventions that society places upon us. I can't see you, and I treat it like you can't see me. Speaking of freedom, you know what else I love? Nobody asks my opinion anymore. Nobody cares what I have to say because they know that I can't comment. I'm not expected to tell someone they look nice in the new outfit they just bought. I'm not expected to like all of their photographs, or share my thoughts on the new car they just bought, the brand new paint job they did in their apartment, or how cute their newborn baby is. If the paint job is crappy, or the baby is ugly, you guys just have to smile and say, "Oh, that's lovely," or "Oh, she's so cute." You have to lie to spare their feelings. For me, there's none of that. There's no pressure, no expectations. I don't have to do the awfully awkward social dance, and I love it. I actually remember getting shot down once. At the time, I was in 6th form, and there was a girl that I'd known for a little while. On one particular day, she was fretting. She was having a bad hair day. She felt self-conscious. She didn't like how she looked. Politely, I said, "No, you look alright, don't worry." And she answered, "Yeah, but that doesn't mean much coming from you, does it?" I know, she actually said that. Now, it was a true statement, but nobody had ever been that brutally honest with me before. I feel like if it had come from a genuine friend, it wouldn't have bothered me. In fact, I think I'd have laughed. But coming from someone who wasn't a fully fledged friend yet, who I'd only known for a matter of months, it felt like a slap, and honestly I'm glad that I never have to get into that situation again. So yeah, the whole point of this video is to say that being blind, it's not all that bad. In a lot of ways, it's actually set me free. My question for today is this: if you were suddenly struck blind, what are the things that you wouldn't miss about being able to see? Honestly, I've had a good time with this today, guys, and I hope you've had fun too. If you've enjoyed yourself, throw a handful of salt in the like button's eyes and tell him you're setting him free. Then say hi in the comments section and we can have a chat. As usual, the link to my Twitter is in the description, and subscribing will make sure that you never miss any videos just like this. Thanks ever so much for spending time with me today, guys. Until next time, take care. For now, I'm off, and you should have a good one. I'd walk through the door and it'd feel like someone had thrown a handful of gravel in my eyes. It'd feel like someone had thrown a handful of sawdust in my eyes. It'd feel like someone had thrown molten lava in my eyes. It'd feel like someone had smashed up a bag of pickled Monster Munch and thrown them in my eyes. Along with profound statements like "Nick and Jess forever" and "Dave is a man-slug." Along with profound statements like "Northwood massive big up" and "Jess is well fit." You turn the brightness up, the brightness down, up, down, please kill me now. Then there were the surgeries. I had so many of them. It felt like my eyes